Hello and welcome to my YouTube site. I'm Santosh Singh and I'm a petroleum consultant. I do fiscal regime modeling, cash flow analysis of upstream projects, anything to do with the economics and finance of oil companies. Okay, so that's about me. I'd like to discuss about prevailing fiscal systems in the global arena today. But before I discuss about the fiscal regimes of different countries, it would be better if I discuss some of the basic concepts involved in the fiscal systems. And to start with, I'd like to discuss with you the concept of economic rent, because economic rent is at the heart of every fiscal system. Actually, economic rent is uh, offspring of or direct offspring of the foundation of economics. Basically, what it says that any production is distributed among the three different components, which is landowners, capitalists, and the laborers who are provider of labors. So a production is distributed among these three players in the form of rent, profit, and wages. The capitalist gets profit, the laborers get wages, and the landowner gets rent. From here we have this concept of rent, and when we discuss about fiscal system, then in that context the meaning of economic rent slightly changes. There, when we say economic rent, we mean the excess profit or surplus profit. And while discussing the concept of economic rent, I'd like to say that the value of economic rent is calculated as the difference between the value of production and the total cost involved in that production. And so this difference gives you the value of economic rent. Now, in the context of oil and gas industry, the value of production is nothing but the value of crude oil or gas, whereas the cost is total cost, and it includes your exploration cost, your development cost, your abandonment cost, and it also includes, not to forget, a certain rate of return that the capitalist would like to get on his investment. So all this total cost, if you subtract from the total value of the production, you'll get excess profit or economic rent. Now, the objective of any government is to maximize his share in this economic rent. And the government also tries that while he gets the maximum share out of this economic rent, he also provides situations and conditions that the return to the capitalist is also maximized. So he has to make a proper balance so that there is an optimum level of expenditure in the exploration and development activity, and the government keeps reaping the benefit of that. So that is the primary objective of any government. Now, a government can take share in the economic rent in various forms. Basically, it's in the form of bonuses, which could be production bonus or signature bonus or any other bonus. It could be in the form of royalty, like royalty oil or royalty gas. It could be in the form of taxes, like corporate tax or local tax or any other tax. It could be in the form of government participation, where governments get its own share in the profit, or any other form. So these are the basic means of availing a share in the economic rent, and government always tries to maximize its share. Now, when we talk of the economic rent, the government always tries to maximize it. But we have to also consider that there's a difference between a government situation and a contractor situation or an oil or gas company situation, a government by default is risk averse. That is because it does not have as many avenues of revenues as a contractor or an oil company have. The oil company, on the other hand, is risk taker and they diversify their risk. And these two phenomena play a very important role in designing any fiscal contract or license. Because government tries to maximize its own share, the companies tries to minimize its risk and also maximize its own return on the capital. So that was about the concept of economic rent. While designing the fiscal systems, government should ensure that the government is able to provide a fair and equitable return on capital of the contractor or of the oil companies. The fiscal system should also ensure that it's not unduly speculative. And thirdly, the fiscal system should be such that the whole oil and gas sector or the environment is highly competitive and is highly efficient. And the system also should not make undue pressure or undue administrative burden either to government or to the company. So while designing a good fiscal systems, the designer of the fiscal regime should consider all these 4 points which I have mentioned just right now. Now when you compare the fiscal system of two separate countries, one might tend to say that the system of one country is more harsher than the other countries. Say for example, Indonesia or Malaysia, they might extract 70 to 80% of profit as tax, whereas in UK the contractor may have to pay only 40 or 50% of the corporate tax. And just by looking at these two numbers, someone will be tempted to say that UK is more flexible or less harsh than the Southeast Asian country. But the reality could be different, because actually what is important is that the level of profitability that is being asked by a contractor, it might be such that in a given country you have very good potential of exploring oil and discovering oil. Say Middle East, you can just dig a well anywhere and chances are that you will get a good amount of oil. But in another country, the geological situation might not be that much favorable for the oil, and so the government may have some easy terms. So it all depends on the geological risk and the geopolitical risk, and you have to look at the holistic figure to say whether the fiscal regime is harsher or not. There are two important concepts in any fiscal regimes. The first one is the work commitment, which is risk dollar because it's directly associated with risk. And the other part is fiscal terms, which discuss about the distribution of profit. The work commitment part, it is obligatory for person having the contract to do certain number of works or certain category of work, like he might be asked to explore in a given area. Say he has to explore at least 5,000 square kilometer using seismic activities in a given year, or say the contractor might be told to dig at least say 15 wells in 2 years or something like that. Now that work, what I have said is that work commitment is risk dollar because it is a commitment. Even if you find oil or you do not find oil, you have to do this work. you are contractually bound to carry on these activities, irrespective of whether you find anything or not. Fiscal terms, on the other hand, is more about distribution of profit. It tells you about how much royalty to pay, what is the mechanism of royalty calculation, how much bonuses to pay, how much oil to use for cost recovery, or what is the profit share mechanism, things like that. So these two, work commitment and fiscal terms, are the two most important economic aspects in any fiscal regime design. I don't think I have enough time here to discuss individually about different types of fiscal regimes, but before I end, I would like to tell you about some basic different forms of fiscal regimes. And they are basically there are two types of fiscal regimes. On one side we have royalty tax regimes, which has a royalty and a tax component, and on the other side of the spectrum we have contractual fiscal regimes like production sharing contracts, or production sharing agreements, or profit sharing contracts, risk service contracts, or various types of service contracts. So these two are quite technically they are poles apart, but mathematically you can have the same cash flow. Either you build a royalty tax system or you build a production sharing contract, but the nature of division is quite different in the royalty tax and production sharing contract. One very important difference between a royalty tax regime and a production sharing regime is the title of the hydrocarbon. In a royalty tax based regime, the title of hydrocarbon rests with the government. That rests with the contractor or the holder of the license. So whoever has that license, he is the owner of those resources, and he has to pay a royalty to the government because government was the earlier owner of the resources. On the other side, in the production sharing contract or profit sharing contract, the right of the hydrocarbon rests with the government or the state. The party who has signed the contract does not have the right on the hydrocarbon beneath the ground. He has the right to have a share in the profit or a share in the production volume, but he does not have the right to the hydrocarbon under the ground. And also this right is conferred upon him only at the point of export of the crude oil. So basically it's the government who owns the hydrocarbon in a PSC, whereas it's the contractor who owns the right to the crude oil or gas. So that is the basic difference. Though mathematically you can arrive at the same number in terms of cash flow, theoretically and legally they are different. So that was about the fiscal systems in today's world. I hope you liked it, and even if you don't, then please do leave some comments so that I can rectify those errors, or I can include your suggestions in my next video. Thank you very much for watching my video, and I hope you'll come back again for my next video. Thank you and bye-bye.